Today we have a special episode, a special guest as well. We're going to be talking about aliens, all things alien related, and the Terrence Howard interview. But we have K the Raw here, also known as Shannon Metoyer, my brother.
Hey, hello everybody. This is K the Raw. That's what I go by online. Let's get it.
Yep, so we're going to be talking about the Terrence Howard situation, aliens. This is a topic that we talk about probably in depth, like once a year. But growing up, aliens was like the number one topic we'd always talk about. We had a podcast probably 10 years ago that we were talking about aliens and we let that die. But now we're in full swing, full podcast mode swing. So now we're bringing it back, and this is the special episode, Aliens.
Marathon, yeah, say that to me, yeah, say that to me, oh, marathon, you can say that to me, yeah, say that, you can say that to me, marathon, yeah, say that.
Facts. Right. So I wanted to open it up talking about the Terrence Howard interview because he wasn't talking about aliens, but he was talking about high level, like, was it quantum mechanics, other things like that. He was talking about high level stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So how do you think that technology directly relates to aliens and directly relates to what technologies aliens may be using, or just kind of fascinating in that way?
Right. So the first thing that comes to mind to make it applicable to aliens, the first thing that comes to mind is travel. Mm-hmm. And so, for example, like one of the biggest questions, which I believe is called the Fermi paradox, is that if aliens are actually here in the universe, either they don't exist or they're too far away for them to actually like reach the Earth because the distances are too great. Now, when we're talking about what Terrence Howard was talking about, it's basically one, free energy. Two, when we're talking about how quantum mechanics actually functions, there's been recent discoveries, like they're actually able to confirm something called quantum entanglement, meaning that particles can exist in multiple places simultaneously and in two different states at the same time.
But do you believe that aliens are here, or did they not exist, or are they too far away? Do you have an opinion about that?
Now, if it weren't for my own personal experiences, I would say that they're definitely just real mathematically. Like, if you look at the statistics, it's like a mathematical certainty. Like, the universe is too big for us to only be the only intelligent life out there. Now, I've had some personal experiences where I'm more leaning towards it's possible that they actually could be here. Now, there's all type of crazy theories. Like, some people believe that they're like underwater. Some people believe that there's because of the experiments that were done on the moon is actually hollow, that they could be there. It could be time travel. It could be all type of different things. So
and when it comes to like personal experiences, because I've definitely had my own personal experiences, I think that that's always a fascinating topic whenever we're talking about aliens, is because every once in a while you're going to come into contact with somebody who has had an alien experience, and I think that's it's always skeptical. Like, is there credibility in play? Things like that. And I think I made a short film about like me potentially have seen an alien when I was a kid, and that was the reason why I made the short film Eclipse on that. I'm actually making a part 2 to that, but I definitely feel like I saw one, like very clearly, very plainly. But then, of course, that opens up, if we wanted to go to like the theological argument about the Christian, pursuit of aliens, and is it just all demons? Is it actually an alien? Did God make other life forms outside of us? Things like that.
Right, and that's an interesting way to put it too, because that's one of the big speculations. Even Tucker Carlson has talked about that, where he believes that what we call aliens are actually just angels and demons, because the Bible basically has been telling us about all type of crazy stuff. So like in the vision of Ezekiel, we had like crazy images of not aliens, but like of angels. So for example, like you have it like an entity with like it's made of just wings with like hundreds of eyes all over it. And then there's also like the creatures that have like the face of a man, the face of an eagle, the face of a bear, the face of a lion, and it has 4 wings, 2 wings that come out in the front of its shoulders, 2 wings that come out in the back, and it doesn't walk. It flies, and it doesn't even fly like directly to things. It flies in completely perpendicular lines. which is an interesting thing just to even conceptualize about.
Yeah.
But the
You should make
idea,
that into a movie.
yeah, honestly, like I don't know how nobody's done that already, because like that's total nightmare fuel.
Yeah.
But yeah, like the idea that there are other entities that exist in this plane of existence with us has already been a concept that has existed for thousands of years.
Yeah.
It like across cultures, across religions, like they all keep saying the same thing. Could those be aliens? Possibly, but like maybe it's both. I don't know. Maybe they're angels, demons, and aliens. Who knows?
And that's the crazy part, is because like these types of talks, when it comes Bigfoot, aliens, Loch Ness monster, things like that, these are all very interesting topics that like I feel like will never really die unless we like run them into the ground.
Right.
So I know like when Joe Rogan was doing his interviews, he would always really talk about aliens a lot, to a certain degree because it was fascinating, and also it drew a decent audience. Do you think that the fact that aliens are more on the fantasy side than the scientifical side is why the average person is attracted to talking about aliens? Or do you think there's no correlation or anything?
I think that it's definitely the mystery of the unknown that's a big factor. Because, you know, things that like stimulate your imagination where you have to fill in the blanks is like what actually is like what makes good horror movies and sci-fi movies in the first place. It's not necessarily even seeing the creature. The good example is like with Jaws. What made the first Jaws movie really impactful was the fact that most of the movie you couldn't see it, and it was the implied danger of it being around. And
Yeah,
so I think it's the same thing.
Same with Jurassic Park. That's why most of the dinosaur shots are at night, also to help with CGI, but also to fuel the nightmare fuel when it comes to like the unknown aspect of it. So
Yeah, so I do think that the idea of aliens being more on the fantasy side, it makes it easier to dismiss it, especially if you're a scientist, because let's put it this way. There have been scientists who have said on camera, even if a UFO, a flying saucer that was a legitimate alien, came and landed into my front yard, he walked out of this flying saucer and then shook my hand and told me what planet he was from, I would still say that he's not real.
that's actually really funny that he said that, because you know what that reminds me of? There's a verse in the Bible to talk about theology where this guy was, I think he was going to hell, and he was talking to, I think he was talking to God or an angel, and he was like, oh my gosh, can you go tell my brothers and my cousins and my uncles that you're real, so I don't want them to face the same fate as me, as going to hell. This is agony. And the angel was like, or I think it was God, was like, well, if they're not going to listen to Moses, Abraham, and all the other prophets, they wouldn't believe even a man coming in, rising from the dead. So I was like, oh, like, I think it's built into our belief system that if we just don't believe something, no matter what happens, we just won't believe it. Like, I also put a post on Facebook that I think belief is the absolute most powerful tool that we have. It's the foundation of willpower and the foundation of our creation element when it becomes to like just what it means to be human, what it means to like make things, what it means to get up and have motivation to do things. I think it's all about belief. Like if you don't believe that you can make something, you never will, right? So I think that plays a big factor in how people take serious the alien talk.
Right. And then there's also the idea of cognitive dissonance, right? Where like even if you have all the evidence in front of you in the world, it's not enough to shake you from your belief because of the homeostasis principle in our subconscious mind for normity and conformity and things to be predictable, so that your brain has an easier time of processing the world in front of you. And so like that's why it's like, you know, some people basically are just like, well, ghosts aren't real because I don't believe in them. And it's like, maybe that's true for you. Maybe that's true for you, but it could be more accurately that your brain will turn off your perception or ability to be able to see an alien or a ghost or some kind of spirit or something like that, because your belief system doesn't allow you to be able to actually process the information.
And I think that that's fair. Let's go a little deeper on belief, because I think I might have just recently came up with my own like different hypothesis when it comes to belief, in line with all theology. I was watching a sermon. It's always theologically at this point. Like I was watching a sermon and the preacher was saying, do you think the lottery is real? And he had everybody raise their hands, and people were like, and it was Eric Thomas. He was like, do you think the lottery is real? And people were like, yeah, I think it's real. He's like, well, do you understand that the lottery is not real, but it's only became real because so many millions of people have bought into it and made it real? If no one believed that they would win, the lottery wouldn't exist. There would be no jackpot because nobody paid into it, right? So I was like, oh, that's a wonderful example of what belief does. Like, the reason why miracles can't happen unless you believe in Jesus and believe in, the possibility of a miracle is because it wouldn't become real. Like you wouldn't see it if you saw it. And I think that might be like a conceptual way, but I think in an actual tangible way, I don't know if a tree falls in the forest. Like, if you don't hear it, if you don't believe it exists, and nobody believes it exists, does it actually exist? I think it may not.
Right. And like, there's actually two things about that. The first one, I'll make them short because I don't want to get too far off the topic. But the first one, in the Bible, Jesus would typically ask them, "Do you believe that I can do this?" And then they say, "Yes, I believe that you can do this." And then he says, "Okay, stand up and walk," when their legs weren't working, or something like that would happen. And then he says, "Go thy way, thy faith have made thee whole." Right? And then on the second thing that you just talked about, there's actually a lot of theories that, like, since the universe is holographic, it's called the holographic principle, that if the tree falls in the forest, like, there is no tree in the forest unless there's a conscious mind to observe it, because the way that the universe seems to be working is that it's rendering things from conscious minds into existence, almost like it's trying to save on memory. Like, that's how video games work, is that like only the things that are in front of you that you can see are what's being rendered on the screen, and it saves memory because it doesn't have to render all of the actual world that you're existing in. Okay. So I think that that's actually possible.
How does that factor in, or if it doesn't factor in at all, let me know. How does that factor in to when they say that observable science, once the observer observes something, it changes it? That part.
Yeah, that's the double slit experiment, right? Because they're trying to figure out what happens when you shoot individualized photons, which are light particles, through slits, and then when a person is watching the experiment, then the light particles create a pattern based off of just the two slits. Like, it created two lines of where the photons came and then were captured onto a piece of paper behind it. But when they did the experiment and there were no humans that watched the interaction, then it created a wave pattern. It actually showed that particles are only solid when a conscious mind is observing them. But then if we're not observing them, it's a probability cloud, meaning that it's called in superposition, meaning that it's every possible position that it can be in at the same time until we look at it.
And you know what that reminds me of? I'm reading Jurassic Park right now, and that's literally the essence of chaos theory, right? That everything that can happen will happen, has happened, is going to happen type situation. So if it's about viewing reality, like, we only have, like, if we are in the present looking at our life in the present, the only thing that can happen is what has happened, right? Because it's not like your present isn't going to change,
right?
Because that's the past is like more stagnant. So when you're talking about the rest of it, like, if you're looking at the future, there is an unlimited amount of possibility for the future, which is, in theory, I'm assuming, a part of chaos theory, that anything can happen at any moment. Of course, there's a certain degree of uncertainty. That's the variable that he uses. But when it comes to the observable science and how you're looking at light itself, or the photons in the experiment, I think it does change when you're not looking at it, because it can do anything at all times, whenever, with a certain degree of uncertainty, and then as soon as you look at it, we've just entered the degree of certainty.
Yeah, like,
because we see it, and now it's being registered and is logged, and we are consciousness creating, like,
it leads to the conclusion or the possibility that we're actually co-creating this existence together. Like that, the universe itself is almost just like a tool or a mechanism that interacts with us. So, like, this is one of the ways that they're saying, like, this is why faith works. This is why, like you said, belief works. How it seems like people have really good luck or really bad luck. Like, I've known people where they literally speak into existence, like that their life is just so terrible and that they have terrible lives. And then it seems that, like, they're a magnet for negativity and destruction. Meanwhile, like, there are people on the other side where it seems like they can't lose. And it's because of their belief system. So, like, literally just your conscious experience, which they've done with the water experiment, Professor Miyazaki in Japan.
Well, I'll stop you there because I wanted to go back to the first thing before we change the point about how people have spoke their life into existence.
Right.
Like, that's something that I actively did. I remember the day I was 27 when I was like, I am no longer going to have a bad day. I realized something at that age. I was like, man, these things keep happening because I'm saying and I'm anticipating and I'm looking for them. So if I'm only looking for good things, if I only want good things to happen to me, only good things will happen. And for like 3 years straight, nothing but good things happened to me, and then I fell off.
Right.
Right.
And I have a way to segue that directly back into aliens.
Please like, share, and subscribe. And as always, this episode is brought to you by NutriShop Parker. It is your one-stop shop for high-quality supplements, protein powders, and wellness products that actually deliver. Whether you're building muscle, burning fat, or just trying to feel better every day, NutriShop's expert team can help you find what works best for you. If you're local to Colorado, stop by their Parker location for a personalized experience. And if you are tuning in anywhere in the USA, use code BRANDON at checkout for free shipping on your order. Fuel your goals the right way, the NutriShop way. All right, let's go.
So you've heard of Stephen Greer, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so he is the founder and the president of the Center for the Search for Extraterrestrial Life, right? And he wrote a book called Hidden Truth, Forbidden Knowledge, right? In that book were instructions for what he called the CE5 initiative, CE meaning Close Encounters Initiative. You know, the first one is like you get a signal. The second one is like you see something. The third one is they come here, or
Close
like you
Encounters
make
of the
some.
fourth kind.
Yeah, the fourth kind is when they're actually interacting with you on a physical hand-to-hand basis. And then the fifth kind, which he put into that book, was you actually call them to you, a direct line of communication, call them to you.
Nigga, you did that.
I did do that.
Right.
So
okay, disclaimer. Like, this is not like woo stuff.
This is not woo-woo,
This is
bro.
stories that
It's
we've like talked about for like over 10, 15 years. Like, take it at face value, because all we know is what we know. All he knows is what he knows, and he can only talk about his experience in the way that his experience happened.
Yeah, and I wouldn't just make this up because one, it scared me, so I never did again. You know, and two, it's like, okay, this was back in 2013. I just graduated college. I was back in my parents' house. I was playing Marvel vs. Capcom. It was the middle of the day, and you know, bright sunny day, no clouds in the sky and things like that. I'm playing, and then I just get, well, first the lead up is 2 days earlier than that, I was reading that book, Hidden Truth, Forbidden Knowledge, and in the CE5 initiative is you get into a meditative state. And then what you imagine is you zoom out from your body, out of your house, out of the city, out of the earth, out of the solar system, out of the galaxy, and then you say, hello, is anybody there? Like in your mind and heart, like, is anybody there? I would like to meet you. And then you go right back through the galaxy, back to your body.
Fuck no.
Right? And well, so 2 days went by and nothing happened, but I was like, I'm willing to try this because according to the book, like he takes people up to do this all the time. They constantly have all type of footage of them generating UFOs and all type of stuff by doing this. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to see if this is legit, right? And so 2 days later, I'm just playing Marvel vs. Capcom 3, and I just get this feeling in the back of my head that's like, go to the window, right?
Nigga.
So I drop the controller, and then I go out the window, I open up the window, and I'm just like, all right, well, I'm at the window. And then what wind up happening is it's almost like my vision, like the rods of my eyes started, like I was looking in a plain blue sky. The rods of my eyes started like looking like they were like reaching for more light. Like sometimes you can get that when you're staring at a blue sky for a long time. But it started doing it like extra. And then it's almost like I could see like further behind the lenses of my eyes, like they were hyper focusing. And then 3 maybe about this big rainbow colored translucent orbs just appeared in a triangle, rotating about maybe 10 to 12 feet outside of the window, like above the house, right? And then I'm just like, I'm tripping. Like there's no way that this is real. But then they started changing.
It was the middle of the day.
This is the middle of the day.
Okay.
No clouds in the skies, nothing. It was only like 12 feet above the house, or like 12 feet above the window, which was above the house. And so they started going into like this triangle pattern. And then that's when I just started like, I was like, like I just started laughing. I'm just like, what is going on? Like, is this real? And then one of them peeled off from the other two that just kind of kept going in a circle. And then it shined like a bright light from it. And then in like louder than like as loud as my voice is, but inside my head, I heard a radio frequency. It was like, and I was just like, oh, I'm like, yeah, what's up? I called you here. What's up? Like that's, and then it's going on for about like 10, 15 seconds. And I'm like, what am I doing? I have a phone. I have a camera. So I start like scrambling. I start scrambling for my phone. And I'm just like, I gotta get this. I gotta get this. And then like, so by the time the camera went out, they're just like, oh, well, he's gonna try to record us. That's what it seemed like. And then so they just flew over the top of the house where I couldn't see them anymore. And then that was the last time. That was the first and last time I ever did that. But the point was intention. I connected with the universe. I put out the intention to the universe. I put in a belief. I'm going to see if this is real. And then they showed up. And like, so I think that like, and I've heard from a lot of people when it comes to these contacts and things like that, that you actually do have to be in a mental state to be able to accept their existence in the first place. So apparently I was right there because they showed up. And then like after that happened, I'm like, I can't do that anymore. I don't know if they were good or not. And like, what if the next time I try that, it's not the nice little orb things that showed up. It was something else, right? Like there's too many unknown variables. So I never did it again. But like, word to God, like strike me down this second if I'm even exaggerating, bro. Like that's exactly what happened. That's why I never did again, because it was frightening. Like it was like, it made me feel full of joy that it happened. Yeah. But then afterwards when I thought about it, I'm like, oh my God, you can never do that again.
Yeah.
Like
okay, so if you had to like articulate this to a graphic artist or a graphic designer, do you think they could do it?
Yeah, because there were like bubbles. Like it's literally like you know how bubbles are like rainbow and reflective and stuff like that, but like they were literally like a foot across each, and then and they didn't just like show up, they materialized into my vision. Like there was nothing. I was looking at the blue sky, and then they just like emerged, kind of thing, like almost like you know how the transparent knob works, like in video editing. Yeah. How you can make something transparent. It's like it was at 0, and then it just turned up. Like they were It's almost like they were already there, but then they just made themselves known, kind of thing. Yeah. Like it, I don't know. It was weird.
Because you know where my mind goes is just like, let's make it a movie. Let's show that in movie form, right? That's just kind of how my mind goes.
Patent pending.
Yeah, I was like, well, I mean, they can't describe it how you describe it, and it would be fake if somebody else did it. Like, yeah. I don't believe in anybody's art being able to be stolen, because it's inauthentic.
Right.
That's my belief system.
Yeah, no, because like it's been burned into my mind, because like the part that let me know that was legitimate was it flashed the light, and then once again it was like somebody, like it's like a radio antenna that was trying to get into a station was turned on in my head, but like it was like like it was literally like this distortion pattern, right? But it was like louder than any thought. It was basically as loud as this conversation, but imagine it this loud, but it's coming out of your own thoughts, kind of thing.
We gotta make the movie. We gotta make the movie, because I feel like that's something that nobody's ever seen before. And then I love how you described it as the transparency coming up, because that just in terms of effects would be very simple. I like that.
Yeah, I mean, like, as long as yeah, and there's lots of other directions we can go with that. But that's how I shoehorned that previous conversation into this. Mm-hmm. So that was my most prevalent one. Of course, I've seen like things that possibly could be UFOs and stuff like that, but nothing even comes close to that. You know what I mean? Like, well, it's almost not even relevant to mention anything else. Like, like legitimately, like.
I mean, I had some great like alien dreams, but the one time I saw it in real life, well, 2 times, but the last time I saw alien in real life, I was at the parents' house. First of all, our parents' house is not just haunted. Covered in demons.
Look, I actually have tons of stories about that, actually.
I bet there's a werewolf somewhere in there. Like, ghosts for sure. I don't know what it was about that house, but anything you wanted to see, you saw it. Like, the house was old and creaky as well. so the floorboards weren't tightened all the way. So, but it only would really creak if there was bad weather, like like the house is moving, or somebody was walking up there. And every once in a while, no one's home or everybody's downstairs, and you just hear like somebody's running, like literally down the hall, and I'm like.
Yeah, like almost like somebody was walking down the stairs and all type of stuff like that. Yeah.
Like there's been multiple examples of, because my dad's like go mode, right? So back in the day, like we would, I remember distinct multiple times where there'd be a cracking sound on the stairs, and he goes like, and like gets up to like do something about it, and I'm like, oh, like it does sound like somebody's running down the stairs, like crazy.
Oh yeah, all type of stuff. Like, I mean, like a lot of people kind of like, you know, throw in the argument. It's like, well, you know, if you're talking about haunting, then like every part of the earth has had people die on it. But it's like, it's not just that. It's like I think that even Joe Rogan has talked about this, about like some places just retain the energy and memory of all the experiences.
There's like a Japanese forest. There's a Japanese forest. I think it's called the Death Forest or something close to that. That they said that if you go in there, like you risk losing your mind or like dying, because there's so much death encased there that people go crazy just walking into the forest or like preserve or whatever it is.
Would you be down to try?
I would not be down to try it. I would not be down, only because like
there's too much belief into it, bro. Like,
I mean, I was watching Andrew Tate, and he said something that I resonated with my whole chest. He said, "Why would I go skydiving? My life is already extreme enough." He was like, you need to go work harder and put more extremity in your day-to-day life, so you're not tempted to waste your time and waste all this energy on doing like roller coasters and jumping out of airplanes. I was like, facts, because I bust my ass, but I'm not here to do some just for the sake of it thrill.
Okay, yeah, because I've definitely skydived, so like,
like I had to turn up. I wanted to, but I had to like turn up the work. I was like, I don't have time. I don't have energy. I feel like I'm here for a reason. I want to do stuff. Like, I don't even want to invite that. So
yeah, that's fair. Yeah, no, that's totally fair. Yeah, like I think that.
But I also believe it. Yeah, that's also what you were saying. I believe it wholeheartedly. I think I would be changed coming out, so I can't go in.
Yeah, like and it's the same thing with aliens. That like to kind of get back on that, because I think that like there's probably a lot of people that might have even been in proximity to something, or like maybe they did see something or experience something, but like their lack of belief in it shielded them from actually internalizing the experience. Like their short-term memory probably just blanked out. Like there are people that go into regressive therapy that have gone through things that they had no idea that they went through. You know what I mean? Like through hypnosis and all type of stuff, because your mind will literally try to protect you. Well, like it's not even like really protecting you. It's protecting the status quo that you've established in your mind and how you see reality.
Yeah.
Right. And so like if anything challenges that, chances are it's not even it's not even going to register with you, or you might not even, like that's where the term double take comes from. It's because the first time you looked at it, you didn't even know what you were saying, and then you're like, wait a minute. You're like, wait, what is this? And then it comes into form.
You know what's funny is that I feel like most movies are kind of set on people not believing. They're like, I don't believe it. I don't believe this, right? And that's what people think, I think, has been agreed upon as the most terrifying. But I think what's even more terrifying is when you know it's real and you're trying to not make it real, but the thing itself knows that you know for sure that it's real. And I was thinking it, but he also is at their mercy, right? Like I think it was about the fear. Like he knows you're afraid, this, but I think when we're talking about like an extraterrestrial coming in and being more like a terror horror type of situation, I think if there's a way body language or language can articulate that I know that you know I'm real, not just because you're seeing me. Therefore, you can't wish me away, but you also have to explain that you could have wished it away if you really didn't believe it. I don't know how you like tell that type of like juxtaposition in the story, but I think that would be a cool thing that I don't see a lot in movies.
Yeah, I agree with that, because like it's like, once again, cognitive dissonance. Like I think that it's scary. It's scary because like if you can look something in the face and then you're just telling yourself it's not real, but it's like, nah, I'm here. Like I'm absolutely here. And I think that you can take that in a lot of different directions.
So the first time I saw my own alien right? I was at my parents' house. Everything in me was like, don't rechange your room around. And I think it was probably like once every 6 months I'd like maybe put my bed against a different wall, blah, 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 blah. But one thing as a rule of thumb, I never did was I'd never put my bed against the window. Mm-hmm. That was just something like I was terrified of. I felt like the window would open, alien would snatch me out, or whatever it was.
I mean, just a person could.
Yeah. Like, well, I was on the second floor, but still.
Yeah, right.
The facts. So
Spider-Man.
What happened is this day I was like, I had to have been like 14 or something. I was like, I'm a big nigga now. Like, aliens can't do nothing. So I literally was like, and I shoved my bed against the window.
Trying to fight your fears.
Yeah. And then I laid, and the one thing I definitely wouldn't do is like, if this is the window, like I laid down with my head like next to the window, and I was like, right. So I was like playing video games or whatever, and then it got like super late. Like it was probably actually not super late. It was probably like 9 or 10, and I remember like feeling like really kind of like, how to explain it, like groggy, but like not quite like. Okay, it was like on the edge of dizzy, groggy, and then just being very tired all of a sudden. Mm-hmm. So I'm laying down, and I'm like, and I kind of like I spin over, look up, because you could see over out my window, you could see the top of the roof of the house, because I was on the second floor.
This is our parents' house?
Parents' house.
Yeah, like not the first one, but the second one?
Second house, yeah. And you could see the roof, like, because I could actually walk outside.
Yeah, you can walk on the roof.
I could walk on the roof, but I could see the top of the roof, like, and I can describe it completely. I can't even draw it. An alien was like just looking over, like down at me, and I remember distinctly that everything in the sky was red. It was definitely like a red opaque filter over everything outside, and I know it wasn't like that. So the alien's head was like, picture like this was like the mouth, and it had this, and then this. It was like a
like
T head.
super wide eyes kind of thing.
Yeah, it was like a T head, very slender. This, and it even had like the mouth lines, the eye lines, but it's a very flat, like almost like a hammerhead.
Oh, that's creepy.
It was for sure. And then I know if I'm lying, God strike me down. This is why I know it wasn't just like an image, because I was looking at it, and I did what you did. I was like, this is not real. And
this can't be.
I turned away, I looked back. It was still there, and you know what it did? It went. It literally like opened its eyes and was like, and I was like, oh shit. And I was like, oh. And I was like, oh no, this is for real. And we were just staring. Like it was like longer than what people typically describe their experiences being.
Yeah, it's always like something just pokes out. But like no, when it just sticks around and you're just like,
I promise you, it was at least a minute, 2 minutes long, probably like 2 minutes long, of me just staring and it just blinking and staring at me. Then eventually I was like, okay, well, if this is real, I gotta go get something. So I was looking around, and I leaned over, grabbed something, came back. The sky was back to being black. The moon was white over there. There was no more red. It was just gone.
Yeah, no, that's
100%.
Yeah, that was way scarier than mine. Like, mine was actually kind of like a positive thing. Like, yours was just like, you're about to get fucking abducted.
The thing is like, I remember distinctly not having any type of fear in my body. Mm-hmm. Even when it like blinked, I was like, oh, it was just startling. It was not scary at all. Like, it was like almost like Jasper in Twilight, how he has mood control over you. It was like, that's the only way I can explain it, because aliens are the most terrifying things for me ever. And it's been like that forever. But the fact that I was looking at an alien and I just felt like zero calm.
Like, I was like, no emotions.
I know it was doing some mood control stuff. Had to.
I mean, it's definitely possible. I mean, like, have you heard of the telepathy tapes?
No.
I'm about to actually start looking into them, but there's a lady from that went on Joe Rogan who was talking about the research that she does with nonverbal autistic children. And so apparently what they found out is that there's a high percentage of them that are literally 100% psychic, right? And so like they would test them with random numbers, colors, images, like the whole remote viewing thing. They can literally talk to you in your mind, kind of thing.
What?
Like, yeah, like, so the theory is that humans probably were already doing this, like, back before we developed, like, a full language. That, like, humans probably have the capacity just in general to be able to be telepathic and all this type of stuff in general, because even with animals, you know, they have a lot of that. Like, it seems like dogs have, like, super good telepathic communication between other dogs, especially with wolves, the way that they hunt and all that type of stuff. So, if there is another super advanced species that possibly just went down a different fork in their evolution or their technological advancements, there could be alien civilizations where they never ever said a word out loud, and everything is through the cultivation of their nonverbal communication and their mental faculties and things like that.
And I think that the basis of that would have to be that it's not bound on distance. Distance makes no difference. Otherwise,
that's what the CE5
language
concept was, is that, like, because the universe is all one thing, it's all connected, it's one gigantic electromagnetic field, and so if you put out the right signal, then you're already communicating with everybody at the same time. There's also something called the morphogenic field.
You're the one to tell me about that.
Yeah, the one about with Earth, about how a group of people who learn a skill actually make it to where the general population in general learns the skill unconsciously.
And there's so many examples of that being a real-time thing. A quick segue is that the
4-minute mile.
The 4-minute mile.
Yeah.
Is the number one example of that. So.
Yeah. There's the 4-minute mile, and then there's also there's the triangle test,
What's that?
Or the face test, where it's like, okay, how many triangles do you see in this picture, right? So what they did was that, like, the first control group, I think it was actually the face test for this one. The first control group, let's just say, before anybody started doing this testing, the first control group was able to find 11 faces in the picture. When they did a different control group in a separate country, thousands of miles away, the next control group was able to find 15 faces. And then they did another experiment in another country, thousands of miles away, and, like, they're not publishing the true number of faces, but the number kept increasing with each subsequent test in different places. And they've done that with different types of puzzles and all types of stuff. Even monkeys can do that. Yeah, like, so, there's something. Oh, yeah, also, on average, whenever a new idea is generated in someone's mind, on average, there are 13 to 15 other people worldwide that get the exact same idea at the exact same time.